Now we're going to try and take our lead paint off of our tin ceiling. In order to do this, you have two choices. You can use a product like Easy Off, just an over-the-counter, oven cleaner, and that will take off a very thin layer of paint. It's been recently painted. There's only one very thin coat on it. It works better with latex-based paints, but it's more likely that you have very, very old, many coats of probably a lead-based paint, if this is a tin ceiling, since they were popular about 100 years ago. So in that case, Easy Off won't work for you, but it's a good choice for areas where you do have thin paint, and in my case, there were small areas of touch-up that had been done later on where Easy Off took it off very well. Right now, though, I'm going to show you to use a product called Peel Away to take it off. Peel Away is it comes in a big tub like this. It's amazing how much you need. This is a 5-pound tub, and it costs like $120. You may say, like, wow, I'll never need that much, but you need quite a bit of it to cover an area like I have a dining room here. If you you can buy it smaller than 1 gallon, you can see how well it does for you, how much that covers for you, but you're going to probably end up buying bigger ones eventually. So see if it works for you by buying the small amount, but when you're ready, you should buy the big amount because it will save you money. Peel Away is a caustic paste. It's about the consistency of frosting. And you got to be a little bit careful with it. You got to do a fair amount of safety precautions for both you and for your home. For your home, you really need to worry about what's going to happen to the surroundings. As you can see, I put up tarps here to protect the walls and my furniture that I have here. And on the ground, I have actually some very heavy-duty tarps. That's very important. Now, in order to protect yourself and your family, you really need to decide if you're going to be able to do this at all. If you have small children or pets, they're going to be able to get into the area. I don't recommend doing this yourself, because in using this, you're going to have all this lead paint come down eventually, and even if you try and keep it clean and clean up after yourself, there's going to be all kinds of dust, there's going to be all kinds of debris, and although it's fairly safe to do this with lead paint because the particles aren't very, very small and you don't inhale them, it's going to be all over the ground in the tarp. Your pets are going to get into it, your children are going to get into it, and they're probably going to consume it, and that isn't safe to do. So if you have small pets and children that will be in the area, leave it to a professional. If you're going ahead to do it yourself, then you need to cover yourself completely. As you can see, I have a long sleeve shirt on, I've got long pants on, it's going to cover me completely. You can't have any skin exposed because if the Peel Away touches you, it will basically give you a chemical burn. Now, don't panic if that happens, because in the process of a big job, always a little bit is going to get on you, and it won't burn you instantly. So if it does happen, just calmly but quickly get down from what you're doing, take off your protective safety equipment, go over to the sink, just wash it off with soap and water. If you do it quickly, it probably isn't going to give you a burn at all. If you leave it on, sometimes I've done it where I left it on longer than I thought, and I get like a little red area, and you can feel it because it starts to burn if you haven't and didn't notice, and it feels like a bad sunburn, but you certainly want to avoid doing that as much as possible. So in order to do that, again, long sleeve shirt, cover your skin completely. Because you're going to be working overhead, you're going to need to cover your hair and your face, and it isn't good enough to use a mask. You need to use a full face shield. You can see like I have here. You see I have like a bucket hat on top to protect my hair, and I have a shield that goes over my face. So if some of the paste falls down and touches my face as I'm working, it's not going to hit it, it's just going to hit the shield. And as you can see, there's all kinds of, it isn't totally clear because I've been using this for a while, so you can see that it happens all the time. Of course, you need gloves as well, and I'm going to put on just some, these are regular like kitchen gloves for like washing dishes, but they're fairly long, and you need to make sure there's overlap over your sleeves so everything's completely covered. You don't want this to like, expose a little skin here, because if that happens, that Peel Away is going to fall in there and you're going to get a burn. The instructions say you should tape the two together. I haven't found that really to be necessary as long as there's enough overlap, but if you want to tape it, certainly be my guess. Okay, now I'm going to put on my other glove here, and I'll show you the process of putting on the Peel Away. There's a certain thickness you're supposed to put it on. The instructions say 1/4 inch. Now, I think that's quite a bit because the stuff's expensive, and it's going to fall down. It's going to digest the paint and create kind of a brown ooze. If you use that much, something that's like as much as 1/4 inch, well, then that's just more stuff that's going to be more of a mess to clean up later. Putting on the paste is the easy part. Taking it off is the harder part. So don't use more than you need to. In order to find out how much you need to do a patch test. That means doing a small area with a peel away, something like, maybe this big or something, and you leave it on for a while. You determine two things: how thick you need it to be and how long you leave it on in order to digest all the paint. You just got to try it with a few different combinations of those things until you find something that works for you. What I usually do is I put things on about 1/8 of an inch thick, and I leave it on for 48 hours. You, again, just have to try and see what works for you. Okay, so I'm going to spread this on. I'm going to use a putty knife, like this plastic one. Don't use anything fancy because you're probably going to ruin it eventually. And I'm going to get a bunch of the peel away on the edge of it. You see, like that. I'm just going to go up on my ladder, and I'm going to spread it right over the top. And you get a technique down doing this. And again, you want it to be even. You want it to be about 1/8 of an inch thick. And you want to cover it completely. Don't leave any of the paint exposed. Because if you leave some of it exposed or you have it very, very thin and it isn't anywhere close to 1/8 of an inch thick, then that's going to leave the paint there, and when you take it off, it just isn't going to come off, and you'll have to start the process all over again, which wastes your time and is no fun. So you can see I'm slowly spreading this on the area here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do an area that is 4 square feet. That covers this area right here. It's nice if you do it in nice even squares because it lets you be able to predict what your progress is going to be. And there's another reason, which I'll show you in a minute, about why I did that, because you're going to need to put some, there's a paper you put on here, you'll need to put pressure on here to keep everything from falling down during the removal process. But I'll show you that in a minute after I spread everything on. So you'll basically, each time that you are just going to have to go back down to your peel away bucket, get more. You can put the peel away bucket on the ladder if you can, and that may work for you to speed things up. But you just do it, and you keep doing it until you have your full 4 feet of area covered. And once it is completely covered, you're ready to go on to the next step.